On Business Incorporated today, International Monetary Fund approves $68 million for Benin Republic. And we'll take a look at the cashew policy in West Africa, a review of the value chain. Kenyan bank account holders with more than 100,000 shillings climbs to around 1.9 million. Good afternoon. Welcome to Business Incorporated. Today, I'm Ini John Mekwa. Well, it's going to be a little bit different on the program today, but first, let's do the markets. Just before we get into those conversations, we'll start as usual with Africa, where we see that it's mostly negative on the intraday. The NGX is down almost 1%, 0.88%. Looking at the numbers there, we're still retaining that 52,000, but it's looking slim there at 52,116.27. South Africa is also red, 0.20% at intraday. 78,000 is still the point there for the all share, 78,200 plus. And then Egypt following suit, 0.61%, also negative, 16,740.91. And Kenya continuing that bull run that it's been having for this week, 3.26%. And yet, the all-share index there is not looking so good at 99.98. From there, we move over to Middle East, where the Middle East major equities were mostly negative at intraday. Talking about the Middle East, looking at the number now, Abu Dhabi is red, 0.52%. Dubai also red, almost 0.5%, 0.43%. In other regions, we see Saudi Arabia is on the flip there, 0.51%, and then Qatar back again to the red, 0.41%. We go to London now, but it's a different conversation we're having. Juliana, our correspondent there, has graciously given up a slot for the governor of Oyo State, who is in London for that summit. I'm sure you've been seeing the commercial run, especially here on Channels Television. So we have, joining us from London, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, preparing for that summit that starts tomorrow. Governor Makinde, good afternoon. Good to have you on the show, not from Nigeria, from London.
Well, thank you, Ini, and it's a pleasure, to be on the show. And thank you also, Juliana, for making this happen. And it's also a good way to let the people back at home know that I'm not in London for holiday, or for sightseeing. I'm actually here to mobilize investment for Oyo State and to engage with investors to let them know, why Oyo State should be a destination, an investment destination of choice, for investors around the globe.
Yeah, so I guess one of the first questions that people will be asking would be, why London, the business summit? Why did you choose London? What do you hope to achieve? And what are the selling points that you're telling to the business people there to come to Oyo State?
Well, whether we like it or not, London is still at the center of, the world economy. It's a lot easier for us to reach investors who are outside of the country from here. We could have stayed in Lagos, but we know that this is more convenient for a lot more people to travel from America, from the Middle East, from the Far East, and come in here. And from what we have seen so far in terms of registration, the people that are coming, I think it was the best decision that we took. Also talking about what are we selling? Well, for far too long, Oyo State has been at the back of the pack when it comes to foreign direct investment. But over these past 4 years, we have done quite a bit, to change, turn things around, change the perception of Oyo State in the scheme of things. As far as the economy of the country is concerned, economy of Nigeria. Now we're about number 5 in order of economic activities in Nigeria. And we really want to be the top destination, for investments in the country. And we have to tell our stories. We have to let the world know what has changed this past 4 years. And because the Oyo State people has been graceful, unto me to give me and our administration another opportunity to steer the ship of the state for another 4 years. And we want to hit the ground running. We want to build quickly on what we have done so far. When I came in 2019, we brought out the roadmap for accelerated development of Oyo State 2019 to 2023. But now, during my campaign, we've upgraded that. Now we have a roadmap for sustainable development of Oyo State 2023 to 2027. So we are trying to get the opportunity to let the people know that in Oyo State, we've achieved integration of all our zones. We have moved away simply from pushing agribusiness, as our main focal point. Now we have investment opportunities in tourism, investment opportunities in energy, and you also know that Nigeria is solely dependent on oil, for our major foreign exchange earnings. Now, in the world, you have an energy shift, and Oyo State would love to be at the forefront of that energy transition. So we're asking, investors to look at opportunities that exist in Oyo State, be it solar energy, waste to power. And we've done quite a bit in that area, proof of concept. We have mini grids, about 4 of them across the state. So we want to be able to showcase that. And also, in terms of other opportunities that exist apart from agribusiness, we also have solid minerals. Oyo State is a major gemstone belt. Plus, we're also a major lithium belt. And lithium is the new gold. So we want investors to know that we have mapped out, Oyo State, and we're in talk with the federal government. We want a tripartite agreement where investors, Oyo State, and the federal government, can collaborate to exploit responsibly the solid mineral potential of the state. Governor. So that's why, we're taking this opportunity to tell our story to the world.
All right, Governor Makinde, a whole lot you have to sell there in London, and development in Oyo State is development for Nigeria, so we do wish you all the very best at the summit. I know with Juliana there, we'll be getting a whole lot of gist and news from that summit as it progresses, but we wish you the very best over there in London.
Thank you so much, Ini, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, so for weeks now, it's been tough for Berliners to get to work as climate activists have brought city traffic to a halt every single day. We have Lars, who has first-hand information from there, joining us now with the details. Hi, Lars. Good afternoon. It must not be it hasn't been pleasant for you. And how are you getting by, talking from your personal experience?
Yes, thanks for having me. It's difficult to understand because the U.S. has a quite anachronistic system in place here. Congress enacts legislation that determines both federal spending and revenue. That's because Congress alone, of course, has the power to raise and lower budgets as well as tax income. But then if this legislation leads to a budget deficit, let's say big spending and not enough tax income, and if this budget deficit can't be covered any longer by existing debt limits, then Congress has to vote again to allow the government to go deeper into debt. Now, if only one of the two parties in Congress votes against raising the so-called debt ceiling, the U.S. would run out of money. They would go into default. And that would mean government employees wouldn't be paid their salary, government-funded programs would run out, and interest on foreign debt would not be paid any longer.
So what are the main issues that the activists are actually protesting against?
Yeah, good question, because this is really not just an American problem now. The US dollar is the world's reserve currency, and many countries hold some of their foreign currency reserves in dollars. Actually, a full 60% of global foreign currency reserves are dollar denominated, with only 20% in euro, and then a low single digits for the yen, the pound, or the renminbi. Now, if the US can't service its debt anymore, that would damage confidence in the dollar and lower its valuation. So other countries would see the value of their holdings drop and then potentially find themselves in a financial crisis. Generally, of course, financial and economic confidence in the US and the dollar would drop, and that in turn would lead to debt downgrades, increased borrowing costs for banks, businesses, or for homeowners too, and likely also to a drop-off in consumer confidence. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says, quote, failure to meet the government's obligations would cause irreparable harm to the U.S. economy, the livelihoods of all Americans, and global financial stability.
All right, thank you so much for that last halter, and we wish you guys the best there in Germany. Let's take a break now. When we come back, I remember yesterday, Ghana got that approval from IMF for that long-awaited $3 billion bailout. How much impact can we expect from that? And a whole lot more back here in Business Incorporated. You're welcome back to watching Business Incorporated here on Channels Television. Just before we get to those conversations, back here in Nigeria, Lagos, there was a meeting of cashew producers and some development partners, and participants right there were more than just Nigerians from Benin Republic, Ghana, and everyone came together to talk about the cashew policy for West Africa and how the value chain can be developed. It's a regional workshop for the restitution of studies on policies and regulations in the cashew sector in West Africa. Participants are mostly cashew producers from Nigeria, Benin Republic, Guinea-Conakry, and Ghana. They are here on the instance of Nigeria's Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, as well as USDA Pro Cashew Project. The development partners are working with the public sector to x-ray challenges and prefer solutions to the cashew sector in Africa.
Farmers' limited technical and financial capacity to rehabilitate and renovate aging orchards, and an underdeveloped nursery sector, unable to provide timely and consistent high-performing seedlings to offset declines in productivity.
At the end of the workshop, participants share the level of development in their countries as well as their needs.
Yes, in terms of production, we are at about 90,000 tons, metric tons in production, and the main problem we have is the commercialization. It's not easy for our producer to commercialize it to abroad. Like last year, the most of our production is in the warehouses.
We have close to about 5 million farmers whose livelihood dependent on cashew. So it is important that we ensure that these people are able to sustainably earn income from this product. It is important that they are encouraged to continue to produce, not only to produce, to give us the best of quality, you know. And one of the things to do is to ensure that we add value. We add value to the cashew.
Conversations here will only be impactful when steps to implement the suggestions are taken. That is what the cashew producers hope to see. So finally, Ghana has gotten approval for that $3 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund. But what does it really mean to the average Ghanaian? That's our conversation now with Professor John Gatsi, Dean, University of Cape Coast in Ghana. Prof, good afternoon. Would you say congratulations are in place with this $3 billion? But I wonder how much of that or the impact that will spread to you and you know, those who are just on the streets of Ghana?
Well, those on the street who have the impact of this decision, first of all, there will be freeze on employment to the public sector. We are going to pay economic price for utilities and services delivered by government institutions. We are going to have enhanced taxes deployed from the government in the coming months or in the coming years. So this put together is going to put pressure on the average family of Ghana. But on the side of government, that gives government some kind of boasting rights to have on board development institutions to support in investing in the country. And I believe that is what the government needed very much. And then if you look at the objectives of the IMF, one of the objectives is to ensure they achieve debt sustainability, macroeconomic stability, and ensure that the environment is conducive for private sector to do a vigorous engagement.
All right, Prof, we wish you over there in Ghana the very best in the usage of this $3 billion and, you know, growth in the economy. And as you said, getting the environment friendly enough for businesses to thrive. Thank you so much, Professor John Gatsi, Dean, University of Cape Coast in Ghana. And so from Ghana, we go to Kenya, where the number of bank accounts in Kenya holding more than 100,000 Kenyan shillings grew by 4.9% to 1.871 million last year, 2022. That's according to the latest report from the Central Bank of Kenya. The rise from 1.783 million accounts held in 2021, and they point to improving fortunes of individuals and firms in an electioneering year that's characterized by increased spending. At the same time, an analysis of the data from the CBK reveals a significant flight by high-quality accounts from smaller banks to larger ones as depositors sought safety following the collapse of several banks in recent years. The CBK data shows that commercial banks continues to hold the bulk of the high deposit account at 1.847 million compared to microfinance banks, which held just 24,257 large deposits. Bank deposit accounts with more than 100,000 shillings rose at a faster pace after they grew by 5.1% in the 12 months to December, offsetting the 3.5% decline in total deposit accounts or a respective 64.04 million accounts. Now let's go to the commodity space and talk about lithium, which is becoming more important with the introduction or the spread of EVs, electronic vehicles, vehicle batteries. We see lithium, and we heard there Governor Makinde saying that that is one of the commodities that Oyo State is selling at its summit in London. Well, we have joining us now, Adeye Adegusi, financial derivatives company analyst, joining us virtually to talk about this. So, hi, Adeye, good afternoon. Second time this week. Good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me back.
So we see lithium becoming more and more important and needed around the world, and a country like Nigeria also discovering that we do have this deposit, but the issue would be how do we explore it and add value, you know, before we send it out there. But what's happening to the price of lithium now when, I mean, we see it has reached an all-time high? Because of the increase in demand. And then you also have the impact, of course, of Russia invasion and all of that. But what's happening around the space now when it comes to production of its exploration and the price of lithium at this time?
Well, to give a quick background of lithium prices, it began rising in 2021 due to the increased importance of renewable energy, and continue to soar like other global commodities in 2022. This is the Russia-Ukraine war. But however, lithium prices have begun declining. It fell to as low as $23,000 per ton in April, its lowest level since September 2021. The decline in prices can be largely attributed to a fall in demand from China. New energy vehicles, which is another name for electric vehicles or low-emission vehicles, the sales have dropped steadily in the past few months. In December, it fell by 7.9% year-on-year, and January fell again by 6.5% year-on-year, and this is mainly due again to the effects of the coronavirus lockdown, which constrained demand for cars. Also, the Chinese government also announced subsidy removal on purchases of electric vehicles, which has also constrained and weighed on demand in China. Electric vehicle sales in China are expected to slow 22% in 2023 from 95% in 2022. So now we expect lithium prices to remain low in the near term. But however, constrained supply from top producers in Australia, and also the increased importance of a switch to renewable energy are expected to support prices in the longer run.
Okay, Adeye, because we're almost out of time now. In Nigeria, for instance, we've talked about, for instance, the governor of Oyo State selling, you know, the potentials and all of that. But the issue of illegal mining also stands as a hurdle to the exploration of lithium in Nigeria. Any suggestions or conversations about how this can be dealt with to maximize the potential?
Yes, as you said, you said it. We've seen reports of Asian nationals illegally mining and smuggling Nigeria's vast lithium reserves out of the country. Then this lithium is now imported back into the country at over 1,000% higher than the cost of raw lithium itself. Now, to combat this, there's a need for both state and federal government intervention in this. You need stricter regulations and stricter consequences as well for anyone found guilty of breaching these laws. Then you'll be able to see an increase, because lithium and case of lithium batteries like inverter, solar panel, there's a huge difference in terms of price of the cost of the raw lithium and cost of the finished product. So if these issues are sorted, there'll be less pressure on Nigeria's import bill, and you can increase your exports as a result.
All right. Thank you so much. Stiffer penalties when people are caught with illegal mining resources. Thank you so much, Adeye Adegusi, analyst with Financial Derivatives Company, for your time this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
That's it on the program. Thank you so much for being a part of this power-packed 30 minutes or 25 minutes of Business Incorporated. We'll do it again tomorrow. That'll be the final one. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Imi John Nekwa.